Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Stash Report from Stash Project. Today is May 18th, 2020. We have the August kit announcements from Aoshima, as well as a few kit releases this week. So plowing headlong right into it, those Aoshima releases are reissues for the most part. There are a few um, added things as we go along. We'll call those out. But there is a reissue of the 1998 Toyota Chaser JZX100 Toyota Racing Development version, a reissue of the Ken and Mary Skyline number 73 Phantom. This is kind of a really interesting car. The kit itself is mediocre because it's an old motorized kit, but the car itself is kind of interesting just because it was going to be the next piece of GTR lineage in the Japanese racing circles. But in 1973, we also got the oil crisis, and that was the end of the GTR as a car period for until the R32 came back around, but also completely totally kiboshed the racing version of it that they had planned to do, because obviously racing went out the window for a temporary little bit while the oil crisis was going on. So it's sort of a what if concept sort of thing. They're going to also reissue the 1970 Japanese Automotive Federation Grand Prix. I call it the GTRs kit because there are decals to do 4 different cars. Now, they all are effectively the exact same car, livery-wise. It's just what color the car was painted. Basically, they all are white stripes with white rondels, and then you just paint the cars different colors depending on you know, which car you're representing of the 4. One of the cars, the number 58 car, did win the race, so there is a podium-winning race car in that. Their 70 GTRs are hit and miss. They're not the worst thing in the world, but not the best thing either. You know, it was a 4-door car at I believe, in the race, so it's not like you can replace that with a Tamiya kit because Tamiya's kit's, of course, a 2-door. So there's that. There's also a reissue of their 1979 Mazda RX-7 24 Hours of Daytona kit, a reissue of their 1982 Nissan Skyline R30 Super Silhouette kit. And then sort of the interesting race car on this pile of reissues is a 1975 Nissan S30 Fairlady 280Z Special. What this looks like it is, we won't know until we get obviously closer to August and see what the contents of the kit are. But at least what the box art matches is an old Gunzi Sanyo kit. I don't think that Aoshima has a Racing 280Z in their stuff. Like the S30, the Fairlady that you immediately think of when you think of Aoshima 280Z is the Aero Custom version because it releases every 6 months. I don't believe they have a racing version, which would then begs the question: Do they have the Gunze Sanyo kit tooling, like all of it, like the Lotus and the Messerschmitt and the BMW Isetta and the Jag and the Ferrari, and there's a Ferrari 250 in there. Like, there's a whole bunch of kits that Gunze Sanyo put out last time, probably 20 years ago, and they've just been doing their thing since then. Gunze Sanyo, for people who don't know, is the proprietor of the Mister brand of hobby products: Mister Color, Mister Aqueous, Mister Primer, Mister Surfacer, Mister Leveling Thinner, Mister Metal Primer, Mister Everything under the sun is Mister something or other. So that's that company. They used to do model kits. Like I said, 20 years ago, I think they ran pretty much every tool they had one time, and that one apparently last time. So the question then again is, does Aoshima possess that tooling, and they're just sitting on it for whatever reason, because there's a lot of things in there that I would buy if they reissued, or do they just have access to the Gunze Sanyo tooling? Because the general rumor mongering of that tooling is that it all still exists somewhere, but for whatever reason, Gunze doesn't run it. I think Gunze Sanyo technically now is what, GSI Krios, which is the modern company, but still. At any rate, that'll be interesting to see what that is. If that's some sort of concoction of their own doing, that they've unwittingly copied the box art of an old model kit of, or this is legitimately that old model kit. So we shall keep an eye on that. Also, in the reissues here, several initial D kits, just a straight reissue of the Takumi Trudeau AA6 uh, from the Volume 1 comic book version of Initial D. And then you're also going to get Takumi's A86 Trudeau Project D kit. That comes with a figure, so the figure is new. And also you get the Takahashi's FD3S RX7 Project D kit, also with a figure. So while these are not resin girls, unfortunately, they are driver figures. This does sort of seem to be expanding upon the concept that at least within certain markets, Japanese market obviously, the idea of putting figures in kits has suddenly become a copycat type of deal. So, you know, those kits, the Project D RX-7 was just, released last fall. So it's a relatively new kit. The AA6 Trunos are obviously venerable kits at this point. They've been reissuing those kits every 6 months or so for the entirety of the nearly 6 years we've been doing this web program. And they were tooled up well before that. Putting a figure in them might sell some more, I guess. Project D is that middle grade kit we talk about, the 86 Truno levels of development. The Volume 1 kit, which is factory stock Truno with Watanabe wheels. Then the Project D adds some extra engine components and a racing seat and a few other little bits and pieces. And then it's the Volume 37 kit that comes with the roll cage and more engine components and a different exhaust system and stuff like that. And we always say get the Volume 37 one if you want to get one, just because this kit has all of these parts in it, so you can do all of the engine options, a complete race interior or something in between. All of them have the same Watanabes because the car didn't change wheels at all in the series. So there are, like I said, those for the people who are interested. Another addition to the new supercar line will be the Adventor 50th Anniversario, which would be that one right there. Um, it's just a reissue, and then also the photo etch is specific for it is coming back, and then we're gonna get 4 new sets of wheels. I'll say new sets of wheels because while the wheels themselves are not new, they are new to the wheel lineup. They have not previously been reissued, absent the model kits they're attached to, and they're going to be wheels for the K-Brake series of kits. Those were mostly Toyota tuners, if I have my memory bank incorrectly this morning. So you're gonna get the hybrid 5-sta, which is sort of a 5-spoke wheel, both in its 18-inch and its 20-inch wheel size. The Cross 9s and the level over Delta X, which are sort of a BBS, a meshy kind of looking wheel. All of those will be coming out in August. Again, independent of the K-Brake tuner kits that they originally were tooled up for, and they have, as far as I know, never been sold independent of those model kits before. So those are technically some new wheel sets, even though obviously they're old wheel sets, which again shows you how Aoshima tools their wheels. Even when they're doing them for model kits, they tool them up in a bank of 4 cavities, and that way they can run them again separately. And of course, the K-Brake kits are just modified versions of completely and totally factory stock kits that they did originally at one point or another. So, tooling up the wheels was an addition that they did later on. So that takes us over to kit releases. Again, we have several releases this week from the various usual suspects. It's going to be some Aoshima stuff and some Hasegawa stuff as well. So we'll do the Hasegawa kits since it's only 2. First up from Hasegawa, you have the reissue of the 1991 Mazda 767B Group C car for the Japanese sports car prototype series. This is the kit. You may recall that I bought one for like $10 if you watch the other channel, because I had not seen this livery, because the 92 kit has been reissued fairly recently, first of all, but also within the last 6 years of us doing this program as well. And the list livery is slightly different. The 92 car is not sponsored. Well, it's still sponsored by Trident, but it doesn't have the huge Trident triggerless gum thing right there on the front nose. And so the livery is just a little bit different. Same sort of scheme as far as the yellow over flaming hot pink. It looks red even in this picture, but the color is like I said, it's a hot pink, and I bought this one because I don't feel like redrawing the decals. I bought the old one, and you got a new one. You're welcome. Also from Hasegawa, you have this. It is a reissue of their venerable Porsche 962C in a 1986 World Sports Car Prototype Series livery. Obviously, you look at this, it's Rothman Racing. There are, I want to say, 3 or 4 different companies that produce or have produced the replacement wording for this kit if you want to do one of the other races. This car, as it sits on the box art and in the decals, without the Rothmans in it at all, just racing and the Rothmans livery outlined with no wording or anything in the middle of it, is how the car ran at the 1986 1,000 kilometers of Silverstone. Finished second place there. Other races, it ran with Rothman's livery. So if you want to do in a different race, you would dump off the Kukos 1,000 kilometer thing off the back of the racing, put a Rothman's decal there, refill the globe logos and all the rest of that stuff. So again, it's up to you to build it. Like, this is one of the very few examples. The Rothmans 91 Rack Legacy, the Royal Auto Club Rally Legacy, might be another example of that, where the missing Rothmans is technically correct for the race that this specific this specific kit is replicating. You know, it's correct and not at the same time. Like, if you want to do any of the other 8 races of the WSPC season, then you need the Rothmans livery. If you want to do this car, then you leave it alone and you don't get Rothmans livery. So Decal Pool does a set, MSM does a set, Shunko has done a set, Studio 27 has done a set, Taboo did a set. So some of those are still available, some of those are out of productions. You know, your mileage may vary as far as how you're going to get a hold of any of those. Some of them are gold, some of them are brown. It all depends on, you know, the decal printing process that was used by those folks. So do your research, find the best replacement set, or again, just build it the way it is as a second place car. Oh, moving over to Aoshima, a bunch of reissues this week, and their one sort of nominally new kit for the week as well. First up, your reissue of this is the Pandora Copen. What is it? There's a big long name to this. Let me look it up here. What are we calling this? The Pandora Copen 880 Evo 2. So this kit is pretty much the same as all of the other regular Copens, except that it has this Porsche 911 inspired front bumper and rear spoiler, rear bumper. This has the decals inside to do the Porsche livery, which is the Copen that looks like a Porsche. So this has that livery inside of it. It's a reissue. It's been done before, but I think it's fun in that sense. Then you have the reissue of this, which is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 C West. I think it's technically the racing edition. There was a racing edition and there was like a touring edition. The parts to do both are included, but they only include the one set of wheels. The touring version had a different set of wheels than this, so you're kind of out on that. The differences between the two were the hoods, and I think the front bumpers might be slightly different, but it doesn't come with both hoods. I know that. So anyway, that's back out there for the Evo fans. And then you have this reissue of the Ken and Mary Works, Liberty Works, Ken and Mary Should Die. Now this is the Ken and Mary reproduction tribute to that 1973 GTR race car that didn't exist that we just talked about. So this is sort of their take on that car as a modern, restored tuner, I guess technically is what you would call this. Stance Works, whatever you want to call what Liberty Walk does. But this is sort of, the original car was purple. This one's sort of metallic racing green. But the livery, as far as what you see on the box art, that's pretty much what the car was, the Phantom kit runs as well. But anyway, it gives you actually a really nice check on exactly what it was that kit looked like. And then you have a reissue of this, which is just the factory stock version of the 2012 Subaru BRZ. And then a reissue of this, which is the 2015 Crown Royal police car. It is Tokyo Metropolitan. However, Aoshima did reissue, or actually, they're brand new decals. Did brand new decals for all of the Japanese police forces in, obviously, Japan for 2020. That was the where I was going with that. Obviously, it's every. Uh, so if you wanted to buy this kit and then change the livery to a different prefecture or a different city, you could do that very easily by picking up one of the other decal sets. They're split east and west. I'm not exactly sure where they just consider the dividing line of a country that runs north-south to be exactly. But anyway, those are out there if you want to look them up and find them. This kit again is a reissue, so there's nothing new about it. It is a fairly new car, but it did sell out as far as the kit numbering goes. And then last but not least, this week, this is the special edition model car for this month. It is a Mazda FD3S RX-7 radar patrol car. So Mazda built 7 of these for use as high-speed highway pursuit vehicles in, I think it's actually only 5 prefectures. I think 2 prefectures got 2 cars apiece. But anyway, it includes decals to do all 7 of the cars because they are different unit numbers. And this is an amalgamation of parts kit. There's actually nothing new here. I thought that the radar doohickey mover that sits on top of the light bar was new, but actually those parts are from like 2012. So there's nothing, technically speaking, new about this kit. It just is a whole combination of parts that they have never put into a box before and put out to you as what is, again, a very unique patrol car, just in the sense there were so few of them. It does come with window masks, as well as a mask to do that little widow's peak thing on the hood, so you're not like stuck trying to mask off that little point that comes up onto the hood. So that's kind of nice. The Toyota patrol car comes with window masks or masks, I should say. Not well, it does come with window masks, but it comes with masks that not only do the widow peak, but they also include side pieces, so you can actually mask top to bottom that black and white thing. I don't believe this car has that per se, but it's a pretty easy beltline mask as far as the side of the car goes, and then the whole front end is a mask for that curve. So it all works out in the end, I suppose. And guys, that wraps up this week. So at any rate, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.